Good evening, friends. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. We are going to continue reading Anne M. Martin's On Christmas Eve. We are on Chapter 2. In Chapter 1, we met Tess, who is a 9-year-old girl. She lives with her mother, father, her older sister, and their dog. And she just was sharing with us that her best friend, her father, is in the hospital and he has cancer. Chapter 2, Santa Claus. It is a sign, I think, a sign that I am going to meet the real Santa this year. I know that Santa comes to our house every Christmas Eve, and I feel I have gone long enough without meeting him. For one thing, I need to talk to him, but also it's actually a little rude, letting him come into our home year after year and leave presents for us and never thanking him in person. I'm not sure I've ever even written him a thank you note, although I have thanked him in my heart many, many times. Santa, I will say, or maybe I should address him as Mr. Claus. Mr. Claus, I will say. No, too formal. Santa, it's me, Tess McAllister. Well, I suppose I don't have to tell him my name. Santa already knows who I am. Santa, I want to thank you for all the great gifts you have given me. That's how I think I'll begin. Then I will ask him my questions, and of course, I will watch the magic. I have always wondered how exactly Santa arrives and what the magic looks like. I realize Sadie has stopped walking. She's standing a few feet ahead, staring at me. I have this spooky feeling she knows what I am thinking. Sadie, I start to say, but Sadie turns around then and heads up the lane to our house, so I follow her. That afternoon, I make the mistake of telling Evie and Maggie about my plan. Sarah and I have spent 2 hours making Christmas tree ornaments, 2 hours talking while we pin and glue and snip and string and paint. Why didn't your father come home yesterday? I ask. Sarah shrugs. Something about his blood. They tested it on Thursday and said if it still looked good the next day, he could come home for a while. Dr. Evans said he expected it to look good, but when they tested it again, it wasn't good after all, so he can't come home yet. I'm about to ask Sarah what she has done with the sign she made when she says, I folded up his sign and threw it away. I think I'll make him a new one with red and green paper to put up when he comes home for Christmas, I say. Sarah nods, but she doesn't speak, and I see tears in her eyes. We work quietly. Sarah's painting pieces of macaroni and stringing them onto a length of red yarn. I am making an enormous ornament that I plan to hang near the top of our tree. I'm sliding beads and sequins onto hat pins and sticking the pins into a big styrofoam ball. I jab a pin into the ball and suddenly say, Sarah, I have an idea. What? You said your father is on the second floor of the hospital, right? Right. And he can see the parking lot from his window, right? Right. Then we could visit him sometime. We could stand in the parking lot and sing Christmas songs to him. Sarah puts down her macaroni chain. She says, yes. We could sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Away in a Manger. And Oh Little Town of Bethlehem, adds Sarah. That's his favorite. We could prepare a whole concert, I say, but we might not get to put it on because he'll probably come home soon. But just in case, says Sarah, we'll plan it just in case. We can write up a program that your mother can give your father so he'll know what to expect, like he's at the theater. In case he doesn't come home soon, says Sarah, but he probably will. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, Sarah and I are tired from all our talking and planning and pinning and gluing and stringing. What do you think Evie and Maggie are doing? Sarah asks. I don't know. They're up in Evie's room. Can we go see? On our way up the stairs, I say, Evie slept until almost noon today. Wow, says Sarah. We stand in the doorway of Evie's room and see that Maggie is pulling curlers in Evie's hair. It takes a long time if you want to do it just right, Maggie is saying importantly. Carefully, she combs out a strand of Evie's hair. Then she takes a brown rubber curler, shaped like an hourglass, from a drawstring bag she has placed on Evie's dressing table, winds the hair around its skinny middle, folds one half down over the other half, and starts all over again with another strand of hair. Evie must have 10 pounds of curlers bobbing on her head, and Maggie is not done yet. Itchy. No, thank you. In the mirror, Evie's eyes shift from herself to Sarah and me. "Hi," she says. "Hi," we reply. "What are you two doing?" asks Maggie, looking up from the bag of curlers. "We were making Christmas ornaments, but we got tired," I tell her. "Can we watch you?" Sarah asks. "Sure," says Maggie. Evie and Maggie have been extra nice to Sarah lately. We step into the room, sit on the floor, gape at the girls and the curlers in another bag, which I think might have makeup in it. "So what's going on?" Maggie asks us. I glance at Sarah. I know she doesn't want to talk about her father, so I try to think of something interesting to say, and that is when the words that I wish I could take back leave my mouth. I have decided to meet the real Santa Claus this year. I see Evie's eyes meet Maggie's in the mirror. Maggie stifles a laugh. Evie says, "Really?" And Sarah is staring at me. They are waiting for me to explain. Yes, it's really going to happen. I've had a sign. More stifled giggling from Maggie, but she composes herself. "What kind of sign?" she asks. I hesitate. I have a feeling that what happened on the walk this morning should be a secret between Sadie and me that I should not tell anyone about, not even Sarah. "Just a sign. I know what it means." "And how are you going to see him?" Evie wants to know. "Stay up until everyone else is asleep, and then sneak downstairs and wait?" Basically, yes. But there's a little more to my plan. I had thought about it until Sarah arrived, and I decided that on Christmas Eve, I will have to be very, very alert and aware of signs of magic. And I must concentrate on truly believing. All I say, though, is, do you think that will work? "I guess," answers Sarah. I know that Sarah doesn't believe in Santa anymore than Evie and Maggie do, but she believes in me. Maggie snorts but doesn't answer. Evie is kinder. "Who knows, Tess," she replies. "It might work." I know she thinks I won't be able to stay up, that I'll try and try, then fall asleep and wake up on Christmas morning, which is what happened when I tried to stay up until midnight on New Year's Eve last year, except that when I woke up, it was New Year's Day, of course, not Christmas Day. But I have my plans. I have had my sign, and I know I'm going to meet Santa Claus. Chapter 3. It is Friday night, nearly a week after my magical sign, when Dad disappears into our attic and returns with a large cardboard box labeled Xmas lights. I know what is in there, a big tangled mess of strings and bulbs. The strings with the fat red and green bulbs are for the fir tree in the front yard, and the strings with the tiny gold lights will be for our inside Christmas tree. Evie and I are sitting on the floor in the living room, cutting strips of red and green construction paper to make into chains for our tree. When I see the Xmas lights box, I grin. "Look, Evie, the lights," I say. "Dad, when are we going to get our tree?" "How about tomorrow?" he replies. "There's a place in Hopewell where the people who live in town buy their trees, but we live far out in the country, and we have never bought a tree. We always take our sled and search through the woods behind our house until we find just the right tree, and then we saw it down and pull it home on the sled." "Can we wait until Sarah gets here?" I ask, "so she can come with us?" "Of course," says Dad. "Mr. Benjamin still has not come home from the hospital. Sarah's going to spend the weekend with us again." I go back to my chain making. I'm so excited that I can't control my hands, and I keep smearing glue all over the strips of paper, causing looks of vague disgust from Evie. I can't help it. This year, I will actually be able to see what Santa thinks of my tree. I want it to be decorated especially beautifully for him. The next afternoon, Mom and Dad and Evie and Sarah and I dressed in our warmest clothes and set out across our backyard with the sled. Sadie bounds along beside us, leaping through the snow. "What kind of tree should we look for this year?" asked Dad. "A scrawny, skinny one?" "No," Evie and I cry, and Sarah smiles. "A little fat one?" asks Mom. No, a tall, fat one, I say. Not too tall, says Evie. It has to be perfect, I say. It should be tall and round and thick, like a tree in a storybook, says Sarah seriously. We walk deep into the woods. How about this one, asks Dad. Not tall enough, I reply. There's a big hole in the branches, Sarah points out. How about this one, asks Mom. Too thin, says Evie. We look and look. It takes a long time to find the perfect Christmas tree. Sadie is the one who finally finds it. She sits down in front of a plump fir tree and gives us a doggy grin, her tongue hanging out. How about Sadie's tree, I ask. It's tall enough, says Evie, and fat enough, says Mom, and just full enough with no hole, says Dad. It's a storybook Christmas tree, says Sarah. Everyone agrees that it is perfect. So we take turns with the saw until finally the tree rests on its side in the snow. We lay it on the sled and are about to start home when Sarah shyly takes Mom's hand and says, Mrs. McAllister, look at that tree. She points to a tiny tree, not more than 2 feet tall. Could we cut that one down too? To be your Christmas tree, says Mom. Don't you think your mother will want to help you choose a tree? Oh, yes, replies Sarah. She will. But I thought she could take this one to Dad. We could even decorate it for him with little tiny decorations. It's just the right size for his room at the hospital. That's a lovely idea, Sarah, says Mom. So we cut down the tiny tree and add it to the sled. When we finally head back, we are walking in the dusk, snow swirling around us. Your dad will probably be home soon, I tell Sarah, but until then, he can enjoy the little tree. I've been thinking, Sarah replies, maybe we should start rehearsing our Christmas songs after all, just in case, and we should make the program. After we write down the names of the songs we're going to sing, we can decorate the program with pictures of wreaths and holly berries, I say. Sarah nods. We walk along in silence. The woods are so quiet that after a while I almost forget where I am. And the next thing I know, I am back in that room with the fire and the Christmas tree. Now I see that it is our very own living room, and the tree, the one that is decorated, is the tree we just found. Exactly the same one. I shake my head. The vision disappears. It has been another sign, I think. A sign that we have found the perfect Christmas tree and that when we decorate it, it will make Santa happy. He will whoosh down our chimney, all tired from delivering presents around the world, and there will be a beautiful, glittery, sparkly tree to make him forget, at least for a moment, his aching feet. I look down and find Sadie trotting along at my side, looking back up at me. She's wearing that doggy grin again, and for the second time, I have the funny feeling that she knows what I've been thinking. Christmas Eve, Sadie, I whisper. I'd like to say more, but Sarah's beside me, and anyway, Evie believes it's crazy to talk to animals, and I do not want to do anything to spoil our walk home with our trees. We will pick it up with chapter 4. Good night, friends.